Hey you guys, welcome back to the Hancock household. Today we are coming at you podcast style. Even though we are not podcasters, this is not a podcast at all. This is just a fun random video. But we can do what we want.
So that means I can do my radio voice instead of doing my normal voice.
You can. I don't know that I'm going to encourage it, but it's an option for you. You can do that.
And that was the sound of our dog's ball bouncing across the floor because he's trying to get us to play with him.
Yes.
As little Miss Evelyn is asleep right now.
Yes.
So let's start off with what we was going to be doing.
All right. Our first subject, I kind of just wanted to talk about ourselves. You know? So I'm thinking, why don't we talk about how we met?
Let's see. We met in what? 2014, 15?
Yeah, it was about 2015 we met. And we actually met on a double date.
Yeah.
But we were not on a date with each other. We were with different dates.
Yeah, it was with different dates, and although, you know, me and that girlfriend at the time broke up, Erica and her boyfriend at the time broke up, she still stalked me.
No.
She followed me where I work at.
No.
Every time I get off work, she was always there waving at me.
He worked close to my house.
Yeah, and I didn't find that out until we actually officially started dating.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
So,
Literally lived
like,
a minute
yeah.
from where I worked at.
So, basically, we met each other, but I was just kind of scoping him out to make sure that he was a good match for my friend at the time, because they were dating. And then, so, like, we were just acquaintances for years and years and years. And I think it was like 4.5, 5 years later, that was when we actually started dating.
I mean, we would see each other out in public, you know, restaurants and things. We would still talk to each other.
But never any flirting,
No, it was just
nothing like that.
Hey, how are you doing? You know, what are you doing now? What are you up to?
Right.
And that came back to 2019.
Yes. July 7th.
My church was having, well, actually, she came with a friend to church.
To the Sunday morning service.
So, of course, you know, I saw that she was there, knew who she was. After service, I went and spoke to her, said, hey, it was great to have you today.
And I remember I was so shocked that he even came up and talked to me at church that morning, because I don't know why. I was just like, I was surprised she even remembered my name, honestly. I was just like, oh, he talked to me. Cool. Oh. Then later that evening, there was an ice cream social at that church, and I went again with my friend that evening. Technically, I went to church that evening to talk to someone else, to like kind of meet another guy, just to see. Anyway, that did not work out because God had other plans. So, Kyle and I actually ended up talking that night, and later he messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, it was so nice to see you. He was just being very friendly, very cordial, and I was the one that was like, so...
I knew you was going to message me.
I just knew you were going to message me. Actually, if you didn't message me, I was going to message you. Like, I was the one that flirted first, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got no shame. Ain't no shame in my game.
I played it cool.
He did. But you did hint at going on a date first.
Well, yeah. You know, of course, you know, I kind of hinted around, threw it out there.
Yeah.
You know, just to see how you would react. course, when he was like, "Well, yeah," I was like, "Okay." And you said something about like, "Well, if nothing works out, I still want us to be friends because I really enjoy talking to you." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's fine."
Yeah, I like made it really, really clear. I asked him to just it. All my words just disappeared. Basically, I was like, dude, if this doesn't work out, you gotta promise me that we can still be friends and that we won't have hard feelings because I still want to be able to go to this church. I just don't want anything to be weird. So we agreed. But it's okay because we got married.
Yeah.
Just a few months later.
Well, yeah, a few months later. Now, I know that people say stuff about love at first sight. And I'm not saying this was love at first sight. But, we got to know it was so easy for us to talk to each other that I just knew it was right.
Yeah.
I had prayed for years for God to send me the right person, and I just felt this is it. So, of course, on the first date, you made fun of me because you roll up to where we was meeting at because I wanted to meet in a public place, just so you were comfortable. And I think something was going on, and I couldn't go pick you up or something at your house. I think, but yeah. So I'm the only person in the parking lot. She rolls up, parks on the other side of the parking lot, and she says, "Hey, I'm here." And I had already told her I was driving a white Jeep Cherokee. And after she said that, I pull over to her, and I get out of the vehicle, and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was you." So when I open the door, let her in, she goes, "I'm going to be honest. When you said you was driving a white Jeep Cherokee, I really thought that you was going to be driving one of those manly, Jeep Wrangler styles. I didn't expect for you to be driving a soccer mom vehicle or mom vehicle or something like that."
I'm sorry.
But then a few weeks later, I let her drive the Jeep, and she quickly realized why I have the Jeep.
It's a nice car. Smooth ride.
Yeah.
Ride's better than the Wranglers, in my opinion.
So yeah, dates go good.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks later, I was
Wait.
like,
First date.
No.
First date. We choose to see the movie Midsummer. If you are not familiar with the movie Midsummer, don't get familiar with it.
No.
It was so horrifically awful. We, mind you, this is first date. At one point in the movie, I said, we have to leave. I looked at Kyla and I said, we gotta go. We cannot continue to consume this content. We gotta go. So that's what we did. We got up, and it was such an awkward scene that the rest of the movie theater laughed at us standing up. And then later, we went to McDonald's to get ice cream. This man came up to us and they were like, "We were in that movie with you." And he said, "I am so embarrassed because I brought my kids to this movie. And we watched it." And he was like, "I don't know how I'm going to explain this to their mom."
Yeah. It was bad.
It was so bad. No offense to the creators of that movie. It was just a bad choice. We didn't research it well enough.
Yeah, well, everything that he was saying was it was supposed to be like a little cult festival thing.
Yeah.
And we like to watch. We kind of are into some of the things that's documentary stuff about why some of these cults was, what happened, how it ended up now, how do the people, how are they coping with the stuff now. So that's just some of the stuff that we kind of
But this is totally fictitious, and it took it to like we're used to level 2. It took it to level 20.
Yeah.
Like, it was so rough. Moving on, we won't give that any more time than it needs.
Then a few weeks later, I was like, yes, she's the one. Then she breaks my heart.
Oh,
And,
I forgot about that.
yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Ladies, if you are tempted, like I was tempted, to say,
I didn't know we was going with the tempted part there. I was like, wait, what?
just bear with me, quit,
I'm sorry.
filter it out.
Filter that out.
Okay. Ladies, if you are ever tempted, like I was tempted, to say, he's just too nice, shut up. No. Like, I am done hearing, he's just too nice. What is wrong with that? Why are we so used to wanting someone that's, like, what? How is that an argument against someone? So that's what I was saying. I thought, he's just too nice. I don't want to date him. I was scared, honestly, and I think that was the enemy trying to get me to leave a guy that was the first nice guy I had ever really dated. Not that anyone I dated was mean. I'm not trying to say anything like that, but I'm just saying this was the man that God had for me, and the enemy was putting these thoughts in my head to say, oh, he's just too nice. He's not like a bad boy. I don't know. This is just a very toxic place for me to be, and God really had to slap me in the face and be like, listen, lady, I put this guy in your life because he's the man for you. And so things transpired. I was slapped in the face, and sorry if you're not used to that expression. That might be weird for some people.
I didn't do the slapping.
No, I'm saying life smacked me in the face, which was God saying, hey, wake up. This is the guy that I want you to be with. Look at what you've been attracted to. Look at how toxic and bad that is. And look at what I'm trying to give you. Go back to him. So I did. I went back to him. I asked him to give me another chance. He did. Thank you for doing that, because now we're here. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's a great testimony of mine. I'm not ashamed to tell anybody that needs to hear it. And there's way more to the story, but that's all I'll give you today.
Yeah, it was just kind of. I'm not saying that I'm the way I am because of me and my parents, but I think God created me for Erica, and there's things that she deals with that somehow I was able to cope with, and from where she was before we met to like a month into us dating, her family could tell a difference in her.
And you can go ahead and say, like, what he's referring to. You want to say what you're referring to?
Well, it's, I don't know if you want to say if it's the anxiety.
I mean, I'm very, it's fine.
Or
I do struggle with a lot of anxiety and OCD specifically. That's all we'll say there. But, I had been in a really dark place. And then, I'm not saying that Kyle fixed me or anything, but I'm just saying that he was the person that I needed to be my partner in life.
Yeah, to help work through that.
Yeah.
It's like I that's why I think God created me the way I was and created you the way that you was, knowing the path was going to be a certain way, and that when He had us meeting together, He knew that I was going to be able to help you, and you was going to be able to help me.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
So that was the whole thing of that.
Yeah.
The way I felt.
I mean, God is just so good. Like, we can look back on it now and see everything that God orchestrated. But when you're in the moment, you kind of don't see it. But I love thinking back on that. Like, I'm just so thankful that God worked the way that He did.
So that's a long portion of how we met,
Yes,
and probably a little bit extra.
yes.
But-
But that's okay. It's podcast style. We can say as much as we want to today.
True.
Okay, let's see what's next. That's kind of how we met. Okay, this will be fun. How did Kyle ask you? How did you ask me to marry you? Do you want to tell it?
I can tell what was going to happen and then how it happened.
Okay, so you give your perspective, I'll give my perspective. How about that?
So for one, not saying her dad's scary, but he just has nice guy, hilarious guy, but he just has a look of like, he can just cut you a look, not even meaning anything. And if you feel like you've done something wrong, you would think that, he's that father figure that can set you right.
Yes.
But
So, like, people who don't know my dad, people usually, like, on the street, people assume that he's either an investigator on the police force, in the army, but he's not. He's just got that demeanor, I would say.
yeah, and it's nothing on him, but I think the process and the things that he went through, his life.
Yeah,
Got him
I
to
mean,
where
they
he's at
definitely
now.
shaped him.
But yeah, it shaped him. But what he went through to how he is now,
Again,
yeah,
God,
it's a total shock.
Yeah.
And everything.
but, well,
Yeah, that could be a
let's not.
whole different podcast there.
we could write a
about
book.
that. Yeah, amazing guy. But so of course I had to ask him for hand of marriage. So of course I was sweating, probably even between my toes. But of course he said yes, and they kind of figured that out. They kind of figured that was going to happen anyway. So me and my family was going to have family pictures. And it was kind of set up for the proposal anyway.
Look, we have a special guest.
Yeah.
Hi, Miss Evelyn.
Somebody woke up from their nap.
Yes.
It wasn't too long for a nap. I think she
No.
probably got a little warm.
Yeah. She'll probably fall asleep in his arms if I had to bet.
See if I can get these.
Do you want me to put them on?
Yeah. Put them on for me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so you asked my dad. He said, we figured you were about to ask.
So we was going to do
The
family
pictures.
pictures, and it was all orchestrated to. It was orchestrated for that, but it was all orchestrated for the proposals. And I think it was the night before or 2 nights before.
It came a flood.
Yes, I'm talking about a huge monsoon. There was no way the pictures were going to happen.
Like, it was so muddy for several days after this rain. It was insane.
And I couldn't wait. They was like, well, we can do it next week. We can do it the week after that. And I was like, I can't wait, bud. I can't wait. I was like, I just can't. I want to marry this lady.
Or could you just not wait because you had already built your courage up and
Well-
you were like, I'm asking.
Yeah, I had already built everything up, but I was like, I had waited for this moment for years. Prayed about it, and I had lots of turn down because I'm a nice guy and stuff like that. Heard that a lot. So I was just ready. So I said, forget it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna wing it. So I had I had pictures, blueprints of the house because I do drafting for a living. So I had blueprints of our house,
His house
Yeah.
at the time.
and I had it on a table or a desk. And she came to my house. It was going to go over to my parents and eat and hang out. And I took her into her room. I said, hey, what do you think about this room? Do you like this room? Does it make a good office? Well, yeah. I said, do you like this table? this desk? Would it make a good desk and everything?" "Yeah, I really like it." No joke. No joke. This paper is the blueprints. Can you see that? Yeah. I like the desk. Yeah, it's really good. Hand was on the paper with the ring right there. Paper, ring box. My plan was for her to go, what is this? And then be like, and then look at me. So at that time, I was already on my knee. I was already on my knee.
I messed it all
And
up.
then she was like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I was getting tired of standing, so I was just going to, go on my knee. Oh, okay. And
I did not see it.
and then finally, I reached over in front of her and I picked up the box. And she was like, "Oh, that's neat." And I was like, "Erica, I want to ask you a question." And then she was like, "Oh, you're so
I
funny.
saw it and I
You're
went,
so funny."
what is that? I was like, I was not expecting it. And like, talk about tunnel vision. Like, I only saw the blueprint sitting in front of me. I promise you, in my memory, the box is not there. Like, I did not see a ring box there. And like I said, when he opened the box and I saw that it was an engagement ring, I was just like, what is that? And then I remember all I kept saying was, are you serious? Are you for real? Is this for real? Are you serious?
20 minutes later, I said, "So,
What's the answer?
I would like to marry you. Would you like to marry me?"
He was sweet. He opened it and he said, "Will you marry me?" I said, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" I thought I said yes, but I forgot to say yes. And he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, yes." Like, my answer is yes. Of course, it's yes. And there it is. I'm still wearing it.
Yeah.
But I just think that that's a funny story. So I would also like to go on a little tangent here, because when, like I said, God just really changed my priorities and like shaped it. I just had to be reshaped. My mindset had to be reshaped a lot. Yeah. When I used to think, as a single woman, when I used to think about my dream engagement, I wanted pictures, I wanted a video, I wanted my parents to be there, all of these things, and none of that happened. But I am so, so thankful that it happened the way that it did. It was a private moment between me and Kyle. It was unique to us. There wasn't any crazy pressure. There wasn't anything like that. It was just simple, and it was us. Like, it was so us. And nobody else has a story like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Evelyn has lots to say about it. And there aren't any pictures. There's a selfie that I took.
Yeah.
And I wasn't dressed up. I was in a t-shirt. But it was so perfect, and it is our story. So, like, it's the most amazing story ever because it's ours.
Yeah.
Wow, you are doing so good talking.
Yeah.
Is that?
I think it was her belly.
Oh, okay, her belly
Yeah, I think it was.
hasn't worked all the way out yet. Okay, so that was our engagement story.
And that was pretty much how I asked you. Yeah, that was question. So.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess if it's anything to the guys, yes, that is a lot of pressure on us to, prepare for this, get this ready, try to keep it a secret, and do all this stuff. But if it doesn't work out, if she says no, if you even, just wing it, if it has to be that special moment, you might want to not reconsider, but you might want to look because
Your priorities aren't in the right place.
yeah, because regardless on where it's at, or if there's photos, or if it's the perfect place, if you two are meant to be together and you want to marry her and she wants to marry you, she will say yes regardless.
Right.
So, yes, it's good to plan that stuff, but if it doesn't work out, it's okay to
Right.
just wing it somehow.
Exactly. And like that's another thing, like with the rings. Now we were fortunate enough. I did pick out my ring. I had sent Kyle options that I liked, but granted, I did find very affordable options for what we wanted. But again, like if you're just not in a stage of life where you can afford the most perfect ring, like it's not about the ring, y'all. It's not about the ring. It's not about the size of the wedding. If you know that it's the right time in your life, you're never going to have enough money. Like you're never going to, if you're waiting for that next thing where you have the perfect job or you have the perfect number in your bank account, like I'm sorry, but you're never going to get there because what I'm saying is you'll always be like, well, I need one more thing. Well, I wanted $5,000 in my bank account, but now I want $10,000. Like it's kind of hard to get satisfied. But if you feel like God is like, here you go, like I've set it up for you, I'll carry you through, no matter what. I mean, there's been, and like we could tell story after story of ways that God's provided for us.
And it's not a bad thing to have the goals for what you want in your
No.
bank account. There's not a bad thing to have those goals.
Right.
But
That's
if
not what I'm saying.
If you make that your priority is about the money, then you're losing what God had intended for you in life.
I would say like you're focusing on the wrong goal.
Right. Yeah.
You said it way better than I said it.
I mean, we're here for a purpose. And yes, we have to work. Yes, we have to make money to live, to buy things, to survive. But if that becomes your whole goal, if you have to become a millionaire or you have to have all this money to be able to buy all these things that everybody else has, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
You're losing your focus on being able to enjoy what God created here.
And I think also, like, financial stability, I think, is definitely a great thing. And I think that God wants that for us. But He wants us to depend on Him. So I think that God has different plans for everyone. It's not God's plan for everybody to always have a full bank account. There are going to be seasons where you're depending on God for your next meal and for the money to pay that bill, But anyway, I'm just saying that good financial stewardship is a godly thing, but it's not God. Like, financial stability is not God.
Right.
There's just an order of operations there.
If you put your focus on God and seek after Him and do the works with Him and for Him, then everything else will come into play.
Yeah.
He will not let you go hungry. He will always take care of His people.
Right. And we're not saying that there are not hardships in the world. We're not saying that there are not people who are hungry or starving. There is evil in the world. We do live in a fallen world, but He's got this. Okay. Let's see. We should wrap it up with... Do you want to wrap it up with tips? Do you want to get a little... I don't know how this will go over, but do you want to go over how we don't fight? Or do you think that'll come back to bite us in the butt?
It could come back to bite us. But, I mean, there's a difference in fighting and, people can be bullheaded, I guess you could say, stubborn. And I can be stubborn. I'm one of those that, if I think I'm right, you have to show me the evidence to prove me wrong. Then I will change my mind, but okay, then I was wrong. I'll admit it. But we have disagreements about a lot of things, but we don't, and we might have gotten upset, but we always talked through it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this upset me because of this right here. Well, hey, you totally read that or heard that the wrong way. This is how I meant it. Oh, well, I took it wrong.
Right. Like, I'm very sensitive, and Kyle knows, I will admit that all day long. I'm very, very sensitive. Like, my love language is words of affirmation, so that means that words also hurt me the most. If you say something like the wrong way, then I'll hear it and I'll be crushed. Or your words can really build me up. So that's something that we're just really aware of in our marriage. And so that means, like, fighting, or we don't fight, I wouldn't say. Like, we don't raise our voice at each other ever. We try really hard to use kind words. But I'm not saying that we don't disagree. And there have been times when we've had to just stop and agree to disagree because we couldn't really find that common ground. And that's okay. But we do talk through it. If I'm feeling some type of way, I don't let it sit there for very long. I do bring it to him. And he does the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Or do you?
I mean, I probably find different times, kind of talk about it. It might not be at that moment.
Like, you don't let issues pile up and then, the dam breaks and everything comes out all at once.
No, I do let things pile up, but what I usually do is, it's like when you're going through your documents on the computer. You have a lot of documents, but you might have a lot of save files. But okay, this save file, I've already made the adjustment, I don't need that. Or hey, I didn't like the way I did it this way, let me get rid of that. So it's like the conversations, like, I'm like, okay, is this something I need to bring up, or
Just let it go.
Just let it go.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely do that, too. Like, you choose your battles. Like, what's worth actually bringing to the table, and what is something that it's not a big issue. So, yeah, we don't try to nitpick each other. But now, if there is an issue, we do definitely talk it out. Poor baby.
So I was starting to go back to sleep. And then I just woke up.
But now, we are no experts. We are newly married. We've been married 3 years. And, of course, we have a baby now. And I know that changes the marriage dynamic a lot. So, like, we have so much to learn. We have so much growing to do. We're fully aware of that. And we also talk about it, too. Like, we're like, hey, we don't really fight now, but later down the road, like, there could be something that really, really hits us hard. And we talk about, like, how will we handle that? We do try to, like, do a little bit of preparation.
But in all, us being married, we are a team.
Yeah.
Us being parents, we are a team. So everything that we do, we've got to do to help build the other person up.
Yeah.
Not to tear them down. No matter, we might be talking with the guys and be like, hey, it takes my wife, 2 months to finally pick up, a shirt that she threw on the floor.
Yeah.
But, it's nothing like, very negative towards her. Like, she's.
That's more of like a funny, like,
Yeah.
I'm picking at you, but I really wish you would pick up your stuff.
Yeah. Like, all of your troubles and things, it bother you. Yeah, sometimes it's good to talk them out for other people. But a lot of this stuff is probably more petty, just, like.
Yeah.
Like me, I like things to be picked up and organized and things like that. So, I might be like, oh, I can't just. Sometimes I can't deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. But in all, God created us to be a team together, and so everything that we do, we got to do as a team.
For sure.
All the decisions, yes, the guy's supposed to be the head of the household. He's one that makes the final decisions, but it is always good to have the wisdom of your wife, because there's things that she might see that you don't see, but you've got to be able to weigh the difference of, okay, do we need to go this route or do we need to go this route?
And now, listen, we are not trying to push that on you. We're not trying to say that we are the ones that know it all and that we're right and you're wrong. But that is just how our marriage works. That's what we believe, and that's that.
Erica would say, "Hey, I want a new house. I want a different house." I'm like, "Okay, we'll start looking." And then we look, and then and I'm trying to help her, although I wasn't really looking for the house or anything. I was trying to help her, and also look at can we do this and all that. And we talked about some different things. Of course, it was hard to find the house that we just wasn't happy. And then she goes, "Well, what if we just kind of fix up what we have?" And I'm like, I'm totally game with that.
Yeah. I feel like that's, we prayed about it, and that's what God really laid on my heart, was to focus on what we have now. But I do feel very confident that one day,
Yeah.
the housing market will be something we look back into, but I just don't think that that's today.
And there's a lot of things that we, there's a lot of things that we would like to do. We already do a lot anyway, it seems like. But one of the things that I told Erica that to do, and I was like, please, for my sanity, it's going to help out the best, is to do one thing at a time, one task. So if we're starting, remodeling or painting or something in a certain room, let's focus on that room. Once we get that room done, then let's move to the next project.
Right.
Because if you have all these small projects all over the place, it gets very overwhelming for the
Yes.
both of you. And me, I would feel like that would cause the stress in between us.
It really, really would. So, and that's something that he reminds me of every single day. Because even with my day-to-day tasks, he says, "Erica, remember to focus on one thing at a time. Otherwise, I've got my to-do list that's 50 miles long, and I feel so overwhelmed." And he's like, "Okay, start with number one. Get it done. Then you'll feel better." So, anyway.
And there's some things you might not be able to fully complete the task. Let's say, painting, of course.
It's
as an
taking
example.
us.
You can prime it, then you have to wait for the dry. But when you prime stuff or when you paint stuff, as an example, when you paint it, you've got to let it dry, so you can't do anything else. So then you can go on to your next task, and work through that. Then when you get to a point on that, you might get swapped back over and finish your other task. So there's ways you can kind of do it different, but just try not to overconsume all the stuff you're doing. I'm rabbit trailing. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about how we did stuff in marriage and how how we like to handle stuff.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like that could be how and why we don't necessarily as get angry with each other or fight with each other, because we try to take things, a step at a time or a task at a time to not overload ourselves.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that is it for today. I'm going to leave you with one question, and I want you to comment below and give us your thoughts. So if you have been married, if you're single, this question is for everybody. What do you think is the key to a successful marriage? Whether you've been married for 6 months, whether you've been married for 50 years, if you're single, like I said, what do you think? Because we can all learn from each other.
Yes.
We all have different walks of life, different levels of experience. So let us know.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button
Yes.
and hit the bell. The bell is what helps you get notified when we post a video.
Yes. All right. I think that's everything.
Yep.
Evelyn, do you want to say bye-bye? Say, I don't talk yet, Mom. What the heck?
I just like to jabber.
Yeah. Say bye-bye. Good job.